Hello guys, welcome back. So today we need to talk about Stephen A. Smith and Chiney Ogwumike because both of them are catching heat for a podcast about the Caitlin Clark situation that dropped just hours, literally hours after Caitlin herself called out the media for using her name to farm clicks. The timing alone made this whole thing feel worse than it probably needed to be. And honestly, it's kind of fucking messy. So Chiney Ogwumike sitting down on Stephen A. Smith's show today was genuinely one of the more interesting media moments we've had in a while. And I want to be clear about something up front. I don't dislike Chiney. I think she's old school WNBA through and through. I think her instinct, at her core, is to protect players like Alyssa Thomas, the veterans, the ones who built the league, rather than the new wave coming in. And that tension is real. It's a real fault line in this league right now, a damn serious one. And today, whether she meant to or not, Chiney said the quiet part out loud. Here's how it went. Stephen A. is asking her direct questions, and Chiney just does not answer a single one of them. Not one. She starts speaking almost in riddles. It was weird as hell. It was a really, really weird interview to sit through, because by the end of it, she had basically justified players going after Caitlin by bringing up Skylar Diggins-Smith and what happened to her as a rookie. It felt like bullshit deflection at times. And look, I remember that too. I watched some of that season. There was discourse back then about players targeting Skylar Diggins-Smith when she came into the league. That part isn't made up. But obviously way fewer people were tuned in at the time, so it never became the story that this has become with Caitlin. Chiney's logic seemed to be, if it happened before and nobody made a big deal of it, it shouldn't be a big deal now. Which, respectfully, is not really an answer. It's kind of damn circular reasoning. Then she said Caitlin needs to bulk up to deal with the physicality. She flat out refused to say whether the Alyssa Thomas foul was intentional. When Stephen A. asked her directly, she said something like, in real time, it was hard to see, and then pivoted to, any contact out there is serious. That's not an answer. That's a dodge, and a pretty transparent one. Straight up bullshit avoidance. But there was one thing Chiney said that I actually think is the most honest, most revealing line of the entire interview. She said the WNBA is a sisterhood, that they stick together for things bigger than basketball. She talked about how the money wasn't there in the early years, so players stayed for other reasons. The causes, the social justice work, the community they built with each other. And I'll give her this, the WNBA has done real work over the years, and I'm not trying to diminish that at all. But what she was really saying, underneath all of it, is that the league formed as one unit, and loyalty to that unit comes before anything else, including honesty about a dangerous play. That's the damn reality she accidentally exposed. And that's exactly why the Indiana Fever have said openly that they feel like the league is against them. Chiney basically confirmed it without meaning to. That's why you will never hear Chiney criticize Alyssa Thomas. That's why Sydney Colson will defend the Fever only as long as she's wearing a Fever jersey and not a second longer. That's why players like Swin Cash, part of what people jokingly call the Yukon Mafia, will never publicly stand up for Caitlin Clark. Maybe Sabrina Ionescu is the exception, and even that's shaky because remember, this same league treated Sabrina with plenty of hostility when she first came in too. Because here's the truth, a lot of these young players just want to hoop. They didn't sign up to be initiated into a club. And if this exact same media firestorm were happening to a different young player, someone else the league quietly resents, you would see the same silence from the same veterans. Alyssa Thomas gets protected because Alyssa Thomas is inside the sisterhood. Caitlin Clark does not get protected because Caitlin Clark and the entire Fever roster are outside of it. That's the ugly damn line. And it's not just the Fever. Look around the league at who's still knocking on that door. Angel Reese seems to be trying hard to get accepted into that inner circle. She's not there yet. Kim Brink isn't in it, Kelsey Plum isn't in it, Sabrina Ionescu isn't in it. Every overseas player who's recently made the jump to the WNBA isn't in it either. They just want to play basketball, which honestly, long-term, is a great sign for the league. In 5 or 6 years, this could be a purely competitive league instead of a clique. But right now, Chiney basically admitted, without saying it in so many words, that it's still a club first and a sport second. And she said all of that while trying to defend Alyssa Thomas. To be fair to her, she never actually landed a defense. She dodged every question, told anecdotes that drifted further and further from the point, and by the time she was done, she hadn't actually answered anything Stephen A. asked her. She went more off topic in that interview than I probably do in some of these videos, and that's saying something. What was crystal clear, though, was that she would not say one negative word about Alyssa Thomas, because Alyssa Thomas is family. But when it comes time to criticize Caitlin Clark, rightly or wrongly, there's suddenly no hesitation at all. That part is wild. And remember, this interview dropped the same day Caitlin Clark specifically called out Chiney and Sydney Colson by name for their ESPN broadcast from Sunday, where they spent time talking about the Alyssa Thomas incident and the surrounding drama instead of the actual basketball being played in front of them. Caitlin named them directly. That's not nothing. Honestly, I'm a little surprised by how this all played out, because I really didn't expect Chiney to say something like this. I want to repeat, I don't think Chiney Ogwumike is a bad person. I don't think she has any personal vendetta against Caitlin Clark. I don't believe that for a second. But we saw a version of this last year, too, with the whole dolphin noise incident, where Chiney talked about it as established fact. And the wild part is, Angel Reese, the player it supposedly happened to, never even claimed it happened. It was Alyssa Thomas who brought it up, and she wasn't even there for the game in question. Her own wife was courtside and said afterward that the fans were great. Then, somehow, 48 hours later, the story shifted to fans making racially charged noises. It is what it is, messy as hell. Chiney is part of the club, and Caitlin Clark simply isn't, and neither is the rest of the Fever roster. And I want to be fair here. There are individual players scattered across other rosters who also aren't really in the club. Some players just go wherever the best contract is and hoop, and that's fine. That's their right. It was never really about where somebody went to college. It was about whether the league as a whole operated like a tight-knit clique. And Chiney basically confirmed what a lot of us have been saying for years. You can see it in the player-voted All-Star selections. Kelsey Plum has never once been voted a top 8 guard by her peers, even in seasons where she was shooting historically efficient numbers for a top team. Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu, up until very recently, had never cracked the top 10 among guards in player voting either. Jackie Young got in back in 2023 and hasn't sniffed the top 10 since. And even with Jackie Young, a former #1 overall pick on a championship team, if you ask who's really considered the guard on the aces in these circles, most people still say Chelsea Gray. It's always the same handful of names. It's always about who's inside the circle, not who's actually playing the best basketball. And again, credit to Chiney, because whether she meant to or not, she confirmed exactly what a lot of us have been saying for years. This is still a club, and right now, the biggest star in the sport isn't a member of it. Tell me what you think. Don't forget, like and subscribe.